Good evening, you little freaks. Welcome to the Edge of Liberty right here on the SHR Media Network. Simulcast with our good friends over at KLRN Radio. We are live on X, Facebook, Twitter, X, I already said that, YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, and you can always find the podcast where any good podcast can be found. Chat rooms are open. The best place to chat is, in fact, YouTube. That's the place that I get the most. It shows me who's saying what. It shows me what's saying what. All the other ones it comes through is a very, very generic Facebook user or whatever. So if you want to chat, you want to be a part of the show, YouTube is the way to do it. BZ is in the waiting room. I can see him hovering off into the corner. I will bring him in shortly. But first, I want to ask, I don't know. Most of the left, and just about everybody who is not on board and is bitching and moaning about what's going on in this country right now. Who the hell do you think you are? Who the hell do you think you are? Because I'm going to tell you something. It's not my fault the rest of the world got used to us just handing out money. It is not my fault. It is not our fault that our politicians got used to just handing out taxpayer money. It is not our fault that we're in a $200 billion trade deficit with Canada. It is not our fault the Mexican government cannot secure its own country and half the country is run by the cartel. It is not our fault other countries have problems and you expect us to pay for it. None of this is our fault. What is our fault and what was our fault that's being adjusted is that we had leaders in this country and unelected bureaucrats who handed out our money hand over fist to pet projects all over the country. We're going to talk tonight is going to be mostly about USAID and what is being discovered over there by DOGE and Elon's team, because it's an atrocity. And I'm going to tell you right now, this is where the CIA got a lot of its dark money from. The amount of money laundering, I guarantee you that we are going to find where we gave money to all of these little special projects overseas, and that money ended up being laundered somewhere else. Look, you just had Zelensky come out and essentially say $100 billion that we gave him never, ever, ever made it to Ukraine. It is unbelievable. It is criminal that our leaders of the past would just hand out this money when we are in unbelievable debt that our children are going to be saddled with. We will never pay this off in 4 years. And nobody cared. They just kept handing out money and we kept borrowing more money. We are in debt. The nation who gives, look, Nobody's giving money to America. When was the last time anybody's giving us aid money? Because the leftists, the globalists, the people over this world who take our money without thinking twice about it, they think we have it too good. They think we have it too comfortable. They think we live so high on the hog, including our own leftist politicians here. Meanwhile, we have veterans who live on the street. We have a homeless problem. We have a hunger problem. We have a youth problem. We have crime problems. We have all of these problems. And we still just give out money away. Money that we borrow and pay the interest for. You and I, the taxpayers, it's our money. We've been screaming about it on this network for years, and we're not the only ones. I know KLRN's been screaming about it. I know all the big networks that are slightly center or right have been screaming about it. We give out money like it's free because the people who give it out, it is free to them. They do not have to earn it. It comes from you and I, people that go to work. And it's got to stop. And I'm going to tell you something else. It is going to be very uncomfortable in this country for the next year or two. I'm saying it up front, and I'm okay with it. The amount of changes, the amount of things that are going to be exposed, the amount of funding that's going to be cut, the hard things that are going to have to be done to put this country back to where it needs to be is going to be uncomfortable. And it's okay. Change is okay. It's okay to be uncomfortable. It is okay to work through that. That's part of the problem we have as a nation. We're too comfortable. We are too comfortable within ourselves. We're too comfortable with how our government operates. We're too comfortable with how much money we give away. We're just too damn comfortable. And I'll tell you what, folks, it needs to change. And it's going to get harder before it gets easier. I'm telling you that right now. Mark my words. And I knew this before when Trump won the election. I knew if he went scorched earth, which he is on a lot of these programs and changed a lot of things in this country that needed to be changed, I knew it was going to be uncomfortable. I knew people were going to be uncomfortable. And you're already seeing some people complain about it. But it needs to happen. This discomfort needs to take place. We need to shed the skin that we are currently in and move forward as a nation. And I'm going to tell you right now, that in the next 2 years, when all of this is said and done, when we've moved to a new place and we are a better country, you're going to have people who are all of a sudden going to understand why and be happy that we changed. I do have a couple guests tonight who are gracious enough to show me the chat room's going off. And boys and girls, thank you so much over there in the chat room. I am reading it. I'm posting it. We're doing great. I am going to start age. Oh, it's really not age before beauty with this too. Either way, no matter how you look at it. All right. Let's see. He has less time on the planet. I'll go with BZ first. The host of the Berserk Bobcat Saloon. Our good friend BZ joins us this evening. BZ, good evening, sir.
Hi, kids. So happy to be here.
How are you?
How are ya?
And, of course, the man...
I be bulbous.
You is bulbous.
I be bulbous.
The man who puts up with the most grief from me out of the team here at SHR Media, my friend and a longtime friend, Jersey Joe. Oh!
Wait, it says Sean Lewis. It doesn't say Jersey Joe.
Yeah, well, I'm going to change that in a second.
Hold up.
What? Hold up what? Nothing.
Hey.
Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey,
Good evening.
Saving my love.
So I want to start off. I'm going to start off just just run right into it. Let's do this cold turkey. BZ, what is the most surprising thing out of the USAID that you've seen so far?
Out of the USA?
USAID.
Oh, USAID. Aid.
Hey.
If you're talking about happy things, happy
Yes.
stories, I used to say that I'm a little L libertarian, and I guess that would be like little L libertarian because I was a Republican, then I became a conservative, and then I attached little L libertarian to it, and then I called myself a conservatarian. The longer this goes on, the more my little L libertarian becomes big L libertarian.
Yeah.
Rip, it's a late night show. Rip this motherfucker apart.
Yep.
Rip
We're
it
just
apart.
getting started.
Rip
blue pill's
everything
working.
apart, tear it apart, turn it upside down, shake out all their fucking change. I want to make them as comfortable for the coming 4 years as we were comfortable in the past 4 years. Now, you can call it revenge. You can call it retribution. I call it justice. I call it working for the people of the United States of America. I'm tired. Everyone is tired of having our money shipped wherever except for us. Lost Wanderer said, that's funny, BZ. I called myself a cursive L libertarian. Well, I curse myself every once in a while as a libertarian. I do not agree with the libertarians in terms of hot and cold running drugs or wide open borders. Fuck them on that. But the longer this goes on, the more I want to see DC turned upside down. I'm not, I don't know, maybe I am talking violence. Whatever happens, you know what? I'm golden with it. I really am. I'm tired of having to pick the corn out of the shit of the leftists and the people in DC. So, hey, truly, let's bring it on. Let's ruin all of the standard crap that the leftists have, as you so well pointed out, made assumptions about for multiple decades, 40, 50, 60 years. It was simply assumptive, following essentially the Marshall Plan, that we're there for everybody and
All
we
the
can go
time.
to hell. They must be the beneficiaries and no one else.
Yep.
That shit has got to stop.
100% needs to stop. And that's, look, part of the reason why we're in debt. And it's amazing to me that we will be in the level of debt we are, borrow more and still hand money out like it's nothing. I'm going to go through some of the stuff that we found. Jersey Joe, same question to you, sir.
Well, when I say funny, I mean kind of like ironic, funny type deal. The amount of pants pissing going on by the Democrats of the exposing of the waste and fraud that's going on, and they're screaming, "I'm guilty. I'm part of this," by trying to fight the exposure.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I mean, it's just they're so loud about it. I mean, they might as well have a big sign above them going, "I am guilty of taking money from these groups." Chuck Schumer is worth how much? $80-some million on $175,000 salary.
Oh, yeah.
Now we're starting to find out how they got that fucking money. It wasn't book deals. It wasn't.
Oh, I bet you when this goes a lot deeper, and look, the people on the receiving end of this money overseas, I have a feeling many are going to be told, hey, if you ever want to see $1 again, you better show us where all that money went. And they should show it. Look, you hit the nail right on the head, Joe. They're mad at the exposure. They're not mad. They're not shameful about what they've done. They're not upset over what they're learning has happened. They know what's happened. Look, USAID was signed on an executive order in 1961 by JFK. Its specific intent was essentially to fight communism showing up into other countries. There's some other nuances, but that's the umbrella version of it.
Which everyone is lying about.
Right. The Soviets went away in what, 1989 for the most part?
Yep. 1990.
1990. 89 is when the train had left the station and there was no coming back from it at all.
Gorbachev tear down that wall.
Yeah. Perestroika failed, blah, 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 blah. But you get into what's happened since then and the amount of money. And look, these are just some, and I have so many of these that I'm going to bring up because so many people are highlighting different things. By the way, I haven't played with it too much. ProPublica website there is a tool on there that you can actually go through up until 2015 and see all the USAID money that was spent in Afghanistan. And I'm going to cite some of them for you right here. This is the money that was being wasted. $335 million on a diesel fuel powered plant that just sat there because you're going to love this. This tells you how well thought out our plans are. And it's not just here's money and we're going to spend. The Afghans couldn't afford to import the diesel to run it. So $335 million power plant sat there and went to waste because the Afghans could not get themselves diesel. $300 to $500 million on a dam that was deemed unsafe to use after the fact, so that was never used. $250 million on a partial road deterioration project in Afghanistan. Millions on healthcare facilities that nobody can prove actually exist. 70 million on a contractor fees for a project that was canceled before it was being started. A contractor built a $500,000 police training facility that melted. That melted when it rained. You know why? Because it was made from a majority sand. The Department of Defense, I'm not kidding. The Department of Defense paid almost $500 million for 22 cargo planes that were deemed unsafe upon receiving them, and they were scrapped for a total of about $30,000 in total. So right there, I'm just going to go through real quick. 800.
Carry the two.
Yeah, seriously. 835 million plus 2 is 2. That's over $1 trillion right there. Not just Afghanistan in that period. If you do just that math.
And how much of that money made it into the pockets of our esteemed politicians?
Oh, well, you know like I said, I think when this all gets ripped down, when everything is said and done, you are going to see that this money ended up more in our pockets than they will, or in their pockets than we will ever admit, which is why, as Joe pointed out earlier, the leftists are pissing their pants right now. They are losing their ever-loving mind.
They don't know which way to go right now. Everything, and I don't mean to jump on, but Trump's doing stuff at such a fast pace. They can't keep up coming up with excuses. Every time they go to jump on one target, 5 more targets jump up that they can't defend. And it's almost funny.
No, it is funny. I think it's absolutely hysterical, Joe. I'm with you. It's almost the best example is this. You look at the issues that were in the tariffs that we just went through with Canada and Mexico. Trump talked about the tariffs. The left said they'll never work. The tariffs worked, and then the left turns around and says they didn't work. And then wash and repeat. And as you know, we talked about before, this shows you how effective the Trump administration is, because he said Mexico and Canada were going to do tariffs, and both of them said, well, we're going to put a tariff on you and blah, 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 right? It is the coward pivot blitz in reverse. You're 100% right. And then Mexico turned around after we said 25% tariff, and they were like, oh yeah, by the way, we're going to do more to secure that border, and we'll take the illegals back. And Canada turned around and said, oh, you know what? We actually will start enforcing border policy, and we're going to move some of that money around so it actually is effective on the border. And everyone says, well, the $1.3 billion he was already going to spend on the border. Yeah, but he wasn't going to allocate it for what was needing to be done. It was going other places. Mm-hmm. He's allocating it now to actually protecting the border. But back to USAID.
And this is what pisses me off about the Democrats right now. And I'm being serious. It pisses me off. They're out there complaining about securing our border. And what does it entail, securing the border? Stopping the cartels, stopping the flow of fentanyl,
right,
and stopping the flow of sex trafficking. And they're complaining about that.
and guns and drugs and other things that come into this country.
How much of a scum do you have to be to say, oh, my stance is going to be, I want fentanyl in this country. I want cartels bigger. I want more sex trafficking going on.
Yeah. No, and unfortunately, that's exactly what's going on. And you look deeper into this USAID, and there are people that are complaining about the USAID, but I just some of these numbers are unbelievable. The DEI spending, 1.5 million in advancing the DEI initiative in Serbian workplaces. Okay, why do we need to give anyone $70,000 for the production of DEI music in Ireland?
Hey, the Irish need to dance a jig, and to make it to DEI.
I guarantee you it's not allowed to be a jig. That's probably part of the DEI.
That's cool.
You can't say that unless you're going to jail.
Right. 45 million for DEI scholarships in Burma. Isn't Burma currently in a civil war?
There is no country called Burma.
Well,
Burma
now
became Myanmar.
Myanmar, that's correct. Foreign aid and humanitarian efforts. Allegations of 50 million corrections spent on.
Go on, say it.
Anyone want to guess?
Say it. Say it.
This is amazing. I actually want you to guess what this 50 million to be spent on. Joe, you go first. First thing that pops in your head.
Why dykes are fat.
Close. BZ.
Close examination of the cloacas of the average earthworm.
Not as close. $50 million being spent on condoms in Gaza.
Yeah,
hey, they have a right to contraception too, you know.
You don't want to impregnate those goats.
Jesus.
I want to make a point that the one I pointed out, the study of why dykes are fat, is actually a study that the federal government gave millions of dollars to study.
I know.
I want the audience to know I wasn't making that up. That's an actual grant.
One of the other unbelievable things that we've spent money on. And the list goes on and on. And as we get into this, as I said before, I guarantee you we're going to find out that this is the tip of the iceberg. We are just barely.
We don't have any kind of a handle.
Yeah, no handle on how much is being lost.
What's coming?
It's incredible. Yes, Joe, you raised your hand politely.
It's a simple question. I'm being serious. I saw part of a post or article. They're saying that there's a leaked document of where it was telling the government workers to approve everything, no matter what, if they're deceased. Is that with
that part of that too?
Okay,
that was Treasury and accounts payable. Essentially, there was a 24-year-old kid in charge of that, or some young kid.
If it's fraud, approve it.
And everything that was submitted was never questioned and just paid out. Which it reminds me of the scam that went on. Remember a couple of years ago, there was the guy who was billing Google for random things, even though he never worked there. He'd send him work, right? Bills for everything, landscaping work on buildings and they were just paying it and paying it and paying it to the tune of a couple $1 million until they finally said, I don't know if any of this guy's ever done any contracting work for us, and we keep paying him. That's exactly what was going on.
Let me guess, they also brought charges against the guy for fraud or something like that.
I hadn't heard. Oh, yeah. He eventually got charged. That guy.
They're the ones that didn't look into it, so
it's still fraud.
Yeah, I know, but if you're going to be stupid enough to fall for something like that,
the IRS spending $230,000 a month for Starbucks cinnamon roast. Yeah, K-cups. That was going on too.
That was my favorite stripper.
Yes, cinnamon roast.
K-cups.
Oh, K-cups. Yeah.
Thanks.
That was lovely.
Thank you.
Her name or her size?
Let's just move on, please. One of the other things that I absolutely adored that came out of this, and I don't know if you boys have heard this. Yesterday, Bill Kristol, we all know who Bill Kristol is, that little scumbag. The deep state is far preferable to the Trump state, he tweeted out. And this human being named Data Republican, I don't know who they are, said, "Hello, Mr. Crystal. For you, the deep state is preferable because you are listed as the president of Defending Democracy, which is an indirect beneficiary of USAID through Rockefeller Philanthropy Advisors. You have been exposed." And then they shared exactly how much money, which it looks like to the tune of $45 million that organization was gifted with American taxpayer dollars. This is why they're going crazy. How much of this USAID money came back through? Yes,
That's
that's
it
the one.
right there.
How much of this money came back through these organizations and were involved in our elections? I
No, that would
guarantee
never
you,
happen.
guarantee
Never. No.
they're all upset because Elon shut down the free uh, um, e tax filing. And do you know why he shut it down? I'll tell you, this is a good one. In
Because of his
2020,
defense contracts.
no, in 2020, a loophole allowed individuals and other countries to file blank U.S. tax returns showing zero income and receive COVID relief checks, even if they had only visited the U.S. once on a work visa. This resulted in an estimated $423 million being sent overseas.
But you see, let's go back to the original point, which is if you're to even question that, anything questioned means that you're an ob or an ist.
Yeah, but I agree. But I mean, look, USA grant in
Tip of the iceberg.
2024. This is just these things are insane, and I want people to hear this. I want this to be out there because it is nauseating to me. I mean, we knew government spent money like it was free because it is to them. We knew it, but when you start to see what they were, it blows your mind. Never mind the fact that, you know, I'm going to talk about in a second how they're coming out and they're saying, do you know how much USAID to stop terrorism, blah, blah, blah. We already have organizations that do that. Why is USAID involved in that?
But how many years have we complained as citizens that we want accountability and
we're
fraud to stop and all that? And now that we have somebody doing it, they're crying about it.
Well, only the left's crying because they're.
I know, but still, even they've complained. Oh, the fraud's got to stop. The fraud's got to stop. Oh, someone's looking into fraud. That'd be like me going into your house going, "You've been robbed." Oh, you're an asshole for pointing out I was robbed. How dare you?
Yeah. When that person was complaining they were going to get robbed.
Yeah.
Or they were being robbed. USAID grant in 2024, $2 million to a group called Association Lambada. Close enough. Strengthens trans-led organizations to gender affirmative healthcare, advocating for improved quality and access to services, provide economic empowerment opportunities to the country of Guatemala. Yep. Oh no, I think so many of these are CIA fronts. Rick said in the chat, cough CIA front. I think we're going to find a lot of these organizations.
That's a tinfoil conspiracy theory.
I think that all of these DEI things overseas are CIA money, if you want honest, because most of those countries don't care.
Republican conspiracy theories.
Oh yeah, well,
happen.
And you know, a lot of people don't realize is as many people work for the CIA, a lot of people used to work for the CIA who no longer work for the CIA who receive a lot of this money or have access to this money. USAID spends $40 billion of taxpayer money to fund foreign aid. $40 billion. $1.2 billion in awards to undisclosed recipients. Undisclosed recipients. $520 million for consultant-driven ESG investments, and that's the environmental blah, 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 in Africa. It just keeps going.
Just
$400,000. $400,000 went to Honduras to focus its efforts on accompanying social actors and actions that promote and enhance constructive dialogue with social oversight of advocacy towards the legislative work of the National Congress. So we're paying their youth to get involved with their Congress. That makes sense. Let's see, what else? Oh, USAID awarded $969 million to Steve Leonelli of Washington, D.C. for supporting development, democracy, and innovative, inclusive development hub programs protecting the rights of gays, lesbians, bisexual, gender, queer, and intersexual individuals.
Now I ask you this: what does that mean?
I don't know. Nobody knows.
Anybody
That's
argue
the
with a
point.
Canadian today?
Huh?
Anybody argue with a Canadian today?
Oh, are we back on Canadians?
And my wife's French Canadian. Does that count?
Yes,
I'm
it
just
explains a
curious.
lot too. No. I said earlier the leftist Canadians were absolutely losing their mind. They were losing their minds.
I had a tete-a-tete with 3 of them today,
Mhm.
and they're all blah, 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 $200 billion deficit, blah, blah, blah. And then I sent them this from Trudeau. I just had a good call with President Trump. Canada is
Yeah.
implementing our $1.3 billion border plan, reinforcing the border with new choppers, technology and personnel, enhanced coordination with our American partners, and increased resources to stop the flow of fentanyl. Nearly 10,000 frontline personnel are and will be working on protecting the border. In addition, Canada is making new commitments to appoint a fentanyl czar. We will list cartels as terrorists, ensure 24/7 eyes on the border, launch a Canada-U.S. joint strike force to combat organized crime, fentanyl, and money laundering. I have also signed a new intelligence directive on organized crime and fentanyl, and will be backing it with $200 million. Proposed tariffs will be paused for at least 30 days while we work together. I sent that back to each one of those 3 little fucks.
Nothing.
Not a word. After.
Yes.
Not a word. And then after that, because I'm an asshole like that, I sent back #winning, #caving.
Yeah. Well, and we all saw this coming. It wasn't like as soon as
I just had to get that in.
What was the Canadian dollar at today?
Oh, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
As soon as Trump announced this was coming, the peso and the Canadian dollar went into free fall.
I think Canadian was 32.
And people don't realize that the Canadian economy is garbage. Their inflation's through the roof. They're struggling up there. Struggling. They're having a hard time in Canada. And look, I've said this, I said that on X, and I'll say it here. The Canadian people themselves, by and large, are good folk.
Sure.
But just like we got stuck with Biden and we got stuck with Obama, the loudest idiots won. And you have the world's biggest idiot, Justin Trudeau, who kept failing up his entire life. The other thing that had come up, a lot of people are saying, well, who's Elon Musk to get access to these? These are all the USAID, and he got into classified stuff and blah, 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 blah. Elon Musk was granted a top secret security clearance by Joe Biden's administration in 2022.
There isn't one retired military personnel or intelligence agent or anybody having anything to do with intelligence that deserves any kind of a clearance post-retirement.
That's fine. That's a different conversation, though.
Yeah, but it links in with regard to Musk.
Well, the other one I've been laughing.
Why do these guys get clearances? They're retired. Musk is working right now for the United States of America. There is no reason that Mark Milley deserves any kind of a clearance. And it was removed. And it was upon that clearance that he decided that he was going to wiggle his way under the board of JP Morgan Chase. And the reason he wriggled his way onto the board of JP Morgan Chase as a consultant, and his top security clearance was money. That was money in the bank for him. And once that's gone, he was hooked into BlackRock and JP Morgan Chase, whose big idea was to bail out Ukraine to the tune of trillions of dollars. Now, BlackRock and JP Morgan Chase would give absolutely zero fucks about Ukraine and sending trillions to pull them out in their own little personal Marshall Plan if it weren't even at least twice as much money back. And Milley was on those coattails because he himself was standing to make millions and millions, potentially $1 billion himself because of his security clearance. Mark, you can kiss that shit goodbye, dude.
So to go back to USAID, Um,
You
just
see
curious.
this? Do you see
No,
this?
yeah, I know.
Well, the
I
one
know.
thing I also wanted to bring up, and it doesn't have to do with the USAID, is
I might as well get it out now because
Exactly.
we're
Let's
off
just
USAID,
get
even
the
though my
shit on
whole
the
show
table.
is based on USAID.
the shit going on in LA. We got all these protests and riots.
No. Don't Bigfoot me. We'll get to that near the end of the show.
You.
No.
I just want to point out that people are protesting getting deported while they carry around a bunch of foreign flags. And
Well, yes, I know. I just said no. And I know.
Hey, take him
I
out.
don't
He doesn't know
follow
how to play by the rules. Okay, you don't play by the rules in the show.
You just didn't play by the rules on the show.
Yeah, but you said I was senior and fattest. Okay,
I
that's
did
what
say
conference
you
Well,
were
again, I'm
fattest
the
and
second
senior.
the second fattest.
So if we could go back to USAID, I mean, if you guys are good with it, I'd like to go back to the USAID thing.
I'm
for
not
a second.
sure. Joe, what do you think?
Are
Should we do it this time? Let him go back to what he was
we
going
going
I
to
had
open
more
it up
hair
for,
when I started working with you.
Are we going to open it up for commentary before we have a vote on it?
Yes, let's open it up for the commentary before we have a vote on it.
We'll rush this through committee in about 6 months or so, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. No, go ahead.
You have our permission now.
Mm-hmm.
I swear to God.
Joe, do you agree?
I concur.
Okay.
I swear
I'll
to
second.
God.
Okay. All in favor?
Yes.
Say aye.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. Why don't we send it to the rules committee first?
Thank you.
And then you guys can vote on it, and then we'll come back and decide what content.
We'll let you be the rules committee.
We'll have to table it for a while because I want ice cream.
When the fuck do we have ice cream?
Listen, you don't have ice cream? There is ice. There must be ice cream. There must be ice cream.
I think we broke Shaun.
I'm just, and now, thanks. I'm BZ. I'm the host of the Edge of Liberty show for tonight. With me tonight is my guest, Jersey Joe. Jersey Joe, say hi to everybody if you would, please.
How you doing?
Great. This was Shaun's show, and sadly, I did to Shaun what I used to try to do to Ken McClinton. Ken would have a topic. Thank you. See? Right there. Ken would have a topic, and he'd invite me on, and I do my very level best to make sure that we didn't discuss anything that Ken wanted to.
Didn't he complain
Hey, look,
about
it's Shaun.
Dan doing that?
Shut up. Jesus Christ.
Let's give Shaun back his show. Do you want to?
Oh, God. Can I? It'd be fine if I did. So the jackasses.
Put yourself, come on, bring yourself back up on top here. We want to pull yourself back up on top.
No.
He's not. Listen.
There we go. How's that?
Yeah, there
I
we
wonder
go.
if I get you both, but it doesn't matter. Secretary, so they've already talked about that the USAID is supposed to be under control of the Secretary of State. The full control is given back to the Secretary of State. Secretary of State Marco Rubio released this statement. The U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, has long strayed from its original mission of responsibility advancing American interests abroad, and it's now abundantly clear that a significant portion of the USAID funding are not aligned with the core national interests of the United States. As an interim step forward, gaining control and better understanding over the agency's activity, President Trump appointed Secretary Marco Rubio as acting administrator. Secretary Rubio has also notified Congress that a review of USAID's foreign assistance activities is underway with an eye toward potential reorganization, i.e., it is going away. As we evaluate USAID and ensure it is in alignment with the America First agenda and the efforts of the State Department, we will continue to protect the American people's interest to ensure tax dollars are not wasted. One of the things that screams to me through that is all of its little, what's the words I'm looking for? Its little pet projects are going to go away, because I am sure, especially with a lot of the quote unquote anti-terror work and stuff like that it's doing, there are other agencies who were supposed to be doing this stuff that we're not, and or are doing it both at the same time, and we're spending twice as much money. The fact that USAID is going to, it sounds like, be torn apart is wonderful, because one of the things that I've said before, in shrinking government, you have to rip apart some of these agencies. It's just got to happen. So giving it over to the Secretary of State, and then the Secretary of State saying, hey, we're going to open the books on USAID completely, explains a lot about why people like this. Oh, that's not my screen. That's Joe's screen. Why wouldn't I share my own screen? I should share Joe's first. It's only his show.
Well, I just thought I'd show you. I found an actual video of the negotiations between Trudeau and Trump.
I saw that. We'll get to that. But you have people like Elon
the Constitution.
losing her mind.
It is really, really a sad day in America. We are witnessing a constitutional crisis. We talked about Trump wanting to be a dictator on day one, and here we are. This is...
How is this dictator like? I just
JFK must have been a dictator in 1961. Yeah. Damn him.
Creating it through EO. I mean, Jesus, how dare.
Yeah. Can anyone tell me how looking into a federal agency that was started with an executive order, going through the books and seeing what's being spent, and keeping the people who are doing all the spending away while it's being audited is dictator-like?
Let me just state the obvious. Sometimes it has to be done. These people are fucking stupid. The bulk of Americans are stupid. The people that vote to have themselves eviscerated are stupid. Why would anyone who is a right-thinking individual not want to keep their own tax dollars at home in their own state more closely monitored than thousands of miles away in D.C.? And if that's the way that you believe the country needs to be run, you're a fucking moron.
Yes.
What the beginning of dictatorship looks like. When you gut the Constitution and you install yourself as the sole power, that is how dictators are made. It is real.
Who installed themselves by their own power? This is the thing, too, that has been happening a lot on X and a lot of other social media, of them saying, I didn't elect Elon. I didn't elect Elon. No. And you know what? There's a million people who are running the government under the last administration that we didn't elect, that were actually in charge of our entire government when we had a president who was mindless, essentially.
Who elected?
I didn't elect Robert Reich. He's still a sawed-off midget shitstick.
Yes, very well said,
Kamala
BZ.
Harris.
Yeah. What?
Who elected Kamala Harris?
Nobody. But one of the things that blows my mind with this is, you may not have elected Elon, but we elected Trump, and Trump appointed Elon, and Trump is overseeing Elon as he was supposed to. The American people voted for change. The American people voted for this. So stop trying to cry that this is a dictatorship. And I understand it when you grow up in a country of warlords that you may not know how our democracy works. But this is exactly what we asked for. We asked for somebody to go through and tear apart these organizations, these government entities that, and by the way, all of this money that we've given away does not even include the amount of employees' wages, benefits, all the other stuff that they get, the people who have flown all around the world to make sure that this stuff gets kicked in, et cetera, et cetera. That is what we wanted. We wanted to know where the money in our government was being spent, how, and why. So all of this false pants pissing is absolutely...
How is the Constitution being trampled on by...
Yeah. No. There's no logical reason. But that's what the leftists do. They just throw out these veiled, evil-sounding things and provide absolutely zero insight or proof or reasoning for it.
If Trump were a dictator, he would have enabled the diktat under 45.
Oh yeah. Simple. No, he never would have come out of office. I mean, that's plain and simple.
You think these idiots would have learned by now these baseless trying to insult and throw out these accusations has not worked for...
And it's not going
10
to.
years, and it's not going to work now.
It's not.
Are they that much of a retarded muppets that they can't get that through their fucking head?
Yes, they just appointed David Hogg as a co-chair for the DNC.
Oh,
that is proof that they are in fact moronic.
I back David Hogg for DNC.
Oh, I think it's wonderful. They've learned nothing. One of the things that this blew my mind. So of all the different clips that and all the different outrage, and I'm going to play more of them outside the USAID where they had a protest today. One of the ones that
podiums
that struck me was this one, and listen to what he says.
And most importantly, it's jeopardizing our safety here at home. Prison guards overseeing thousands of ISIS combatants in Syria walked off the job after their pay was frozen until a waiver was thrown together after the fact. Let me say that again.
Don't say it again. So we were paying for the Syrian prison guards. Syria, the country that gassed its own people, that we bombed, that we hit with Tomahawk missiles, that we, I believe, had embargoes on. The ones who are friends with Iran, the ones who are friends with Russia, the ones who were literally murdering their own people for years, we were paying their prison guards.
Who gives a flying fuck if their guards walked off?
You stole the words right out of my mouth. If they were still locked up and the prison guards walked away, who gives a shit?
Right.
Did they not have crayons with their lunches?
I don't understand why we were paying them to begin with.
Why do Democrats always worry about other countries so much and piss on this country?
How do we just keep finding money to give away?
Yeah,
like they're just No, I agree with you, Joe. How do we get to the point where they're like, all right, we don't have any money and we're borrowing constantly, but we need to spend billions of dollars overseas in other countries instead of doing, I don't know, this?
One of them, which is behind us here, which is a critical mission and tremendously challenging, of getting the waterway debris out of the stream.
This is in North Carolina,
waterway
finally.
debris removal.
And you can see the complicated equipment that it takes, since we've got wonderful contracting partners here working under FEMA mission assignment to make sure they get with these waterways clean.
The team will be using a cutting-edge pump.
When was the hurricane?
Yeah, let's say about 4 months to 5 months ago, because when it occurred, let's see, it was summertime when hurricane was repletely ripping through all of the eastern seaboard. And now, instead of mud, the bodies they were still looking for but haven't found are now frozen under 12 feet of mud and snow.
And we had the resources all along. Oh, it gets even worse when you talk to North Carolina. I'll dip in there for a split second. Apparently, North Carolina State Treasurer's Office has confirmed that $100 million set aside to support local Western North Carolina governments impacted by Hurricane Helene. And out of that, $100 million, zero has been spent.
I have heard the horror stories from local posts on Facebook for my community. And like I said, we got hit pretty good with Milton. Others got hit worse than us, but we got, a week without power, 2 weeks without power. And FEMA's still dicking around, not approving repairs. We still got people living in hotels. There was just a big news article, and this isn't FEMA's fault, but the people are getting displaced that were living in a hotel because their house was destroyed in Milton, burned down.
Yeah.
They're dragging their friggin' feet. In the meantime, I was supposed to be worried about some Syrian prison guard.
Yeah. And there are people here suffering. And it
eat a bag of dicks. Excuse me. This is the stuff that gets me to the point where I'm tired of playing nice.
The gloves should be off. The gloves.
Well, I'm not out for violence, but I'm tired of playing nice, and instead of telling you you're a bunch of retarded Muppets.
And the new,
sorry, Shaun.
No, that's all right. No, it's totally fine. The new press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, she came out with some more different ways. This is all, there's one thing in here that's repeated, but this is all stuff The list is so long, you can't keep up with all this money that we're wasting. And here's her statement today.
And here's the reason why Elon Musk and others have been taking a look. Because if you look at the waste and abuse that has run through USAID over the past several years, these are some of the insane priorities that organization has been spending money on. $1.5 million to advance DEI in Serbia's workplaces, $70,000 for a production of a DEI musical in Ireland, $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia, $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. I don't know about you, but as an American taxpayer, I don't.
And the best part is they caught her, and they thought they were going to caught her off guard with that. But, and again, it just goes on and on. The list is just it's so frustrating to me how much we're finding out. And this isn't $300,000 for rice so kids can eat. This isn't $1 million of water purification so people have clean water to drink. This isn't anything like that, where you can say, well, at least it was going to a good cause, right? Like we're feeding children, we're getting water to kids, whatever. It's not even that. It's for a friggin' trans opera in Guatemala or whatever country it was, right? This is money. You and I, the average American person, you go to work, you grind, you pay your taxes. Right now, with the way the economy is, and we're hoping it turns around here soon, you're hoping to be able to pay your bills, feed your kids, and have a little bit of extra left over. Most of the country does not have a little bit extra left over, right? It's few and far between. And we're giving out this money like it's nothing. And then you have idiots like,
you have people in North Carolina that are living in tents because FEMA hasn't brought the temporary housing still in. They're living in winter conditions. Then you have government officials coming in and taking their kids from them for putting them in a bad position.
They're in an unsafe situation. Yeah, make it make sense, right? Here's the Treasury person. Remember we were talking about the Treasury earlier, who's just paying stuff off like crazy. His name is David Liebrick. He it's all right. He was a Nigerian immigrant, was Biden's deputy secretary of Treasury. He resigned 2 weeks before and refused to give the DOGE team access to the government's computerized payment system. He was the one who was in charge, which is paying everybody. And he's just a kid. He's like 25 years old, which I'm not saying age matters a whole lot, but in certain cases, experience comes a long way. And then finally, and I know we're getting near the end here, Stephen Miller was on with Laura Ingraham, and he absolutely destroyed USAID. This to me, this sums it right up.
So he has plenary authority to carry out the foreign policy of the United States. So bureaucrats at USAID cannot interfere in the affairs of foreign countries to prop up regimes, to thwart America's interests, to facilitate mass illegal immigration, nor to facilitate diversity, equity, and inclusion policies, which violate federal civil rights law. All this DEI BS violates the federal civil rights law of the United States. So the president is at the apex of authority here. Moreover, as you mentioned, Congress doesn't dictate to these agencies how to spend the money. Agencies exercise discretion on these grants, on these contracts. So take, for example, funding to these non-governmental organizations, NGOs, that fund open borders. So they funnel tens of billions of dollars to these open borders private sector orgs. Congress never passed a law giving those organizations that money. President Trump can not only pause all those funds, not only can the agencies pause those funds, but agencies can instead, if they wanted to, give those funds to organizations that support border security, that deport illegal aliens, that find criminal aliens, that provide detention for dangerous illegal immigrants in this country. There's no law passed by Congress that says that we have to funnel money to organizations that traffic children. Quite the opposite. These are crimes. Illegal immigration is a crime.
And he has just been amazing in front of the microphone. I'll tell you.
He's a sharp cookie anyway.
the people that Trump has picked to be spokespersons have all been incredible so far and really get the message across. And he brought up the illegal immigrants, and we only have a couple minutes left, so we'll touch on illegal immigration really quick. Joe brought this up earlier. There are so many people protesting the deportations. And you see they're in LA right now, literally as we speak. I was watching it before we came on the air. LA is now using tear gas to help spread the crowds because it's getting violent down there. San Bernardino is getting violent down there. It got violent in Texas.
Violent last night, and the cops were told to back down.
Well, and LA was told to back off earlier tonight, but they were engaging just before I went on the air. What I said on X, and I stand by it, is I'm really glad all of these people protesting are wearing the flags of the country they're from.
Sure.
Because it makes things a lot easier to sort them and deport them.
But my question is, why are they?
You don't even have to
that
question.
we're offering free rides back to the home countries that they're waving flags is so proud of. We're wanting to give them free transport, and they're protesting it.
Right. They love their country, just not enough to go back there and live there. And like I said on X earlier, and I mean this, all of those people are not coming here to be Americans. They're coming here to devour what we can have. They're coming there to line their own pockets, and then many of them leave again when they retire or get old enough and make enough money to live comfortable in their own country, and they go back. They go back. And I'm sorry. I had this conversation last night. You've lost any sort of emotional conversation with me when it comes down to deportations. Because A, it is illegal to be here, but B, if you are in this country illegally, you are breaking the law, step one. Why do I believe that you're going to follow any other laws further down the line? I have no reason to believe it.
They broke two big laws, most of them. Coming in illegally and then identity theft so that they can work.
Yeah. And the people forget, and I believe this was enacted under Obama, any country that knowingly is employing them is also in violation of federal law. It is illegal to employ illegal immigrants. And why, you ask me, well, you guys won't, but some people may ask and have asked, why am I so set in my position on this? And it's plain and simple. I'm a grandson of immigrants who did it the right way. My grandfather got his citizenship by serving on a Navy warship in the Pacific in World War II. He wanted to be an American. He wanted to come here to be an American. There are so many good people who spend a lot of their life to get here. And I am not against making it easier for people to come the right way, as long as you do everything that needs to be done, background checks, etc., pass the citizenship test, etc. But it is a slap to the face to the people who do it the right way, who bust their ass, many I know, to become American citizens.
Tens of thousands of dollars to do it too.
Yeah.
Ask Jack Alexander in Australia.
Yeah. And time. And that's if you get approved.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad to me that we will talk about how great this country is and how everybody wants to come here, but we will take what they always argue. Immigrants are the bedrock of our nation. Yeah. And the ones who are doing it the right way are the ones that you're slapping in the face repeatedly. And what's
nobody is above the law,
except for the ones they choose.
Illegal immigrants.
What is the motivation to do it the right way when the people who do it the wrong way get all the benefit?
Well, I got a question. Since they say they're doing it to better their lives and better their family, it's the American dream. So, by their logic, I can go out and rob a bank as long as nobody's hurt because I'm doing it to better my family and give my daughter a better life. So, I should not be charged whatsoever for robbing a bank then.
I used the example last night. If somebody broke into your home and says, hey, I just want to live here to make my family's life better, are you going to be totally okay with it? And the answer is no, of course. None of these liberals would be. We've brought this up when we talk about homeless. We've brought it up with the immigrants. Take them home. You really want to help them? Take them home.
Yeah. Go back.
Happens.
Help your own country.
It never happens. How many of these protesters are military-aged men just absolutely blow my mind. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me this evening. It was a blast, even though you may have hijacked the middle 15 minutes or
Oh,
whatever
we
it was.
gave it back.
Oh, it wasn't that long.
20 minutes at least, 30, 35.
I was thinking more like 27, 28.
BZ full of vodka. Tell everyone where they can find you.
No. Rum and Coca-Cola. That's a song. Tomorrow night, Tuesday and Thursday nights. What? At 8 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Central, and 11 p.m. Eastern at shrmedia.com, and also the SHR Media YouTube channel, which you must subscribe to right now. Sad that I hadn't mentioned it up to now. And subscribe and like and give a big convoluted, like weird-ass thumbs up. BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Pacific. Be there. Aloha.
Thank you, BZ. I appreciate you being with us this evening. Tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon on the East Coast, you have Mission Ready Men with Big E right here on SHR Media. Jersey Joe, tell everyone where they can find you.
Well, first, let's let everybody know that Coca-Cola and Armageddon go together perfect.
They do.
If you can name the song,
I don't off the top of my head.
You can catch me every Monday and Friday, 9 p.m. on the right coast. What is that? 6 o'clock on the left coast. Right here on SHR Media through X, Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Spotify, iHeart.
That's all of them. We're on all of them. Jersey Joe, thank you so much for joining.
Have a good night.
You too, bud. Make sure you check out our friends over at KLRN. Check out Rick and crew. Great friends of the show, great friends of the network, and good friends of mine as well. Rick, yeah. No, I'm just kidding. Rick's a good guy. You can check me out. I'll be back Wednesday evening, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 the East Coast, right here on the SHR Media Network. Make sure you check us out. Check me out, the number 2 Against Tyranny on X. Please like, follow, subscribe wherever you heard the show this evening. I would greatly appreciate it. I'll be back Wednesday. Don't miss Big E tomorrow. Don't miss BZ tomorrow night. Stick around on KLRN if you're watching. I don't have the schedule up. That's on me. I'm a failure. But stick around anyways. I'll see you Wednesday.